Right.
Everyone that gets into Bitcoin says the same thing. They all say this: I should have gotten in earlier. And then the second part of this, and I can hear all the viewers asking already, or the listeners, well, am I too late? It's like, well, are you too late to buy a house? Are you too late to get a block of gold? Are you too late to go to the gym? Are you too late to start being financially responsible with your money? Not at all. The time is now. Get into it. And even if you save it for a year, I guarantee you'll say the same thing that everyone else did. I should have got into it
more.
That's right.
Yep. Should have got more and should have done it earlier.
Be Mr. Adam Stokes, of course.
Yet.
He is there. Yeah. So good afternoon there, Adam.
G'day, lads. Definitely wasn't me. I was on mute.
Well, you're not here, so we will blame you. It is the Crypto Hour of Power. And look, the first thing we do is blame someone, right? That's first.
The first one you blamed was me.
It was the bank. It had to be the bank.
It had to be.
It was the cabal.
Absolutely.
I don't want us talking.
There we go.
All right, so have you turned me on? I can hear me now.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's find out what's going on there.
I love how organised we are, eh?
We are organised.
Professional outfit, mate. Slick.
Oh, slick.
Look,
I've had to press buttons I didn't know I had just to get rid of that.
All right.
Let's get into it now. It's great to have you there. Adam Stokes, of course. Look, mate, a guy knows just a little bit about crypto, let's face it.
A couple of things.
Just a couple of things. Great to have you, mate.
Great to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, just for the audience, I'll give Adam a bit of a fanboy. Adam's been in the crypto scene forever. He's one of Australia's premier and largest and longest crypto podcasters and has been in the industry for, like I said, ever. What this guy doesn't know is not worth knowing with crypto. He is a legend he's just, if I could breed, it would be with him. He's just, and he's a very attractive man as well.
Oh,
all right,
geez, didn't take long for the show to go very downhill.
No homo. Cool. All right, how we normally start things, as you know, Adam, is obviously you were doing something pre-crypto, so we'll start with that, and then how you got into crypto, and then we'll just start the wheels rolling down the hill and see if we crash. So over to you, Adam.
Well, what a very humbling introduction. Thank you so much. And I put it out there to everyone. No matter how long you've been in crypto, you just can't know everything. And I start off with that because many people have done a few minutes in understanding, they think they're understanding Bitcoin, and they're like, nah, it's a scam. I'm well over 5,500 hours in Bitcoin alone now. Wow. And that's on top of an economics degree, and I'm still learning so much. So please, to everyone out there, if this is new to you, be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, and be humble as well, noting that even the greatest out there, I look at Andreas Antonopoulos. I was looking at an interview with him recently, and he said that he's still learning. But to answer your question, I was a soldier at first and went into the Air Force. I've been an entrepreneur during that whole time, always doing multiple things. I've studied all around the world, run my own companies, written a few books, and have always been, I guess, a student of life. I'm always keen to learn. I speak a few languages, but the purest language out there, my friends, is the language of mathematics. And that's why Bitcoin is so beautiful, because it doesn't care who you are, what you look like, what your background is. It doesn't care. It is completely blind. It is open. It is neutral. It is fair. It is censorship resistant. It is hard. It is scarce. And these are all the foundations, the pillars of a real money, which is the opposite, gentlemen, to what we have at the moment. At the moment, the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world is not fiat, not even Amway. It is in fact fiat. The fiat is the biggest Ponzi scheme. Bitcoin is not the Ponzi scheme. Fiat is the Ponzi scheme in the sense that they keep printing unlimited money out of thin air, and it is linked to nothing. And if everyone out there feels like they're getting poorer, it's because you are.
Yes.
You are getting poorer because your dollar is losing purchasing power. And the reason why it's losing purchasing power, it's not because of Russia, it's not because of Trump, it's not because of Ukraine, it's not because of Iran or Israel. The reason why you are losing purchasing power is because governments, left or right, keep printing money.
Yep.
This money is linked to nothing. There is no mythical cave full of gold where every dollar equals a certain amount of gold. No, it is just printed off the printing press, which is why everything becomes more and more expensive. And the antithesis to all of this is, of course, the hard, beautiful money of Bitcoin.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Smashed it. What an opening statement,
Everything he said, honestly,
Yep.
I feel like I've just listened to I Have a Dream. I mean, honestly, that's so
vote
bang
Adam,
on.
Vote Adam number one.
They're pushing me into politics. They're pushing me into it. But sadly, I'm not convinced that our politicians are in charge of this country. And it's nothing against our politicians. I think they're just part of the machine. I believe he who has the most money controls the narrative, and whoever controls the narrative controls where we're going.
Yep.
So I would like to see a true democracy, but sadly we can see that it just doesn't seem to be that way.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I was approached by an organisation, I won't mention them, about going into politics and being a member. And I said, do you realise what my opening statement's going to be? I hate you all and I hope this whole place implodes.
Oh, dear. I'm feeling very alone here as a former candidate myself, but never mind.
Yeah, no, politics not for me, mate. Not for me.
Dear.
And speaking of politics, there's sort of a lot of the times, the economic markets are influenced by political things, and it is something that I have written down. The bombs and boom with crypto at the moment and investing. What's going on with the old Israel and that sort of thing? Is that how does that affect the markets at all, Adam?
Great question. Okay, so the reality is with all markets, don't worry about Bitcoin markets, derivatives markets, crypto markets, so forth. Markets don't like uncertainty. Markets can handle war or peaks. What they can't handle is the pivot point.
Yeah.
So if you go back to like Pearl Harbor as an example, when Pearl Harbor was bombed during the Second World War, the American markets panicked and dropped very quickly. But within 30 days, even though the States was in full-blown war, the markets recovered. Yeah. So it all comes down to the certainty in the markets. Markets don't like uncertainty. What's fascinating about what's happening with Iran and Israel as we speak is typically when war kicks off or something uncertain happens, such as Nancy Pelosi flying to Taiwan, a global pandemic, Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Palestine. Typically what happens is the markets panic and everything drops very quickly. Yep. An absolutely fascinating turning point in the crypto timeline, in Bitcoin's timeline just recently, is that Bitcoin held the line. So it was around 107, we're talking US dollars here. Yep. So it was around 107,000 US dollars just before the first missile started flying. It then dropped to 103 as expected, so it dropped less than 4%. And then immediately bounced back to $105,000. And right now, at time of recording or at time of speaking, it's around the 106, 107 mark. Yeah. And this is absolutely phenomenal. The reason why it's now 107,455. So we're going up again. Yeah. The all-time high for Bitcoin is 111.9, just under 112,000 US dollars. And it's now sitting at 107,456 after being spooked down to 103 at time of missiles flying. Now, why is this so incredible? It's because it's showing that instead of people looking at Bitcoin as a speculative or technical asset or a technical stock or a tech stock, what they're seeing is now it's in fact a risk off, a safe haven.
Yep.
It's where you go to. It's a life raft.
Agreed.
Because what's going to happen now is, irrespective of war, the money printer is about to go brr. They're going to print a lot more money. That is going to dilute everyone's holdings. That will send capital assets up, such as gold and property, in essence. But now we're seeing finally, after 16 years, Bitcoin is in fact becoming the safe haven where people know they cannot hold their value, their savings in cash, because that's going to lose its purchasing power. Property isn't so attractive because unrealized capital gains are probably going to be coming in, but certainly if it's part of your super portfolio, you've got to pay rates and stamp duty and land tax and body corporate fees and replace hot water systems and pay interest on the loan and so forth. So property isn't so attractive. And it's not very fluid, as in you can't get in and out of it quickly. You can't move it quickly. Gold is heavy and slow and holds its purchasing power, but doesn't do much, and that's okay. It just holds its purchasing power over time. So investors now have a choice. They've got three main choices. If you want to lose your purchasing power, you put your money in cash, so you'll lose your purchasing power. If you want to hold your purchasing power steady, you put it in gold, noting there's going to be a demurrage cost, which is the cost of holding gold, storing gold, and moving gold. But if you want to increase your purchasing power, That is, the money that you hold gets more powerful and can buy more stuff. You put it in Bitcoin. It is that simple. Put it in cash, lose your purchasing power. Put it in gold, hold your purchasing power. Put it in Bitcoin, increase your purchasing power. And the world is waking up to this. What choice are you going to make?
Yeah, exactly. My sentiments, exactly. And also it's the accessibility of crypto and Bitcoin. You know, like you can just literally get on your phone, buy it, and away you go. You know, so it's got that sort of fluid, and that's both ways, in and out. And this is funny. I was going to bring this up a bit later, but you know, the emerging markets back in the 90s, right? I kind of see. Well, they had you know, what was called the network adoption state. Right. You know, state adoption. Now, I look at it more like it's network country adoption.
Very much so.
Right? Because now you've got entire countries that are looking at investing in crypto because of the uncertainty with their dollar, especially throughout Africa and places like that. Mm-hmm. I can see that being a big mover in this next market cycle. Obviously, you know, every investment needs adoption, but I can see these emerging markets really, really taking on because of their failing dollar. And, you know, if they, instead of just working for the money, they're going to start getting the money to work for them. Where do you see that, Adam? Did you reckon that these emerging markets are similar to the emerging markets back in the 90s?
It's an interesting question. So, I'm probably too young to remember them firsthand. Sorry.
Rub it in. Come on, mate.
I just thought I'd throw that little dig in there for you, Brendan. No,
cheers, mate.
No problem. Look, the reality is that it's a great question, because if we look at global markets in the sense that in the West, we're like, well, why do we need Bitcoin when I've got the dollar?
Yep.
Now, what's money? Money is a store of value, a unit of account, and a medium of exchange. Yep. The Australian dollar, as an example, is a really good medium of exchange. You can tap it around everywhere, but it's not so good on the global stage because the exchange rate is terrible. Mm-hmm. It's a very poor store of value because it keeps losing its purchasing power. And when we say it's a unit of account, well, it's a good unit of account in Australia, but then it's not so good on the global stage. But when we'll go to America, the biggest market at first. They're like, well, why do I need Bitcoin when the dollar works? It's because they haven't really experienced hyperinflation. When you go to third world nations, we'll go with Venezuela as an example, or Zimbabwe, when they, or even Greece to an extent, and Argentina, and Nigeria, there's a whole list of them. Yep. They understand why Bitcoin has a purpose. Why? Because in the morning, a loaf of bread costs 100 bolivar. We'll go with Venezuela. In the morning, a loaf of bread was 100 bolivar. But in the afternoon, that same loaf of bread was 1,000 bolivar. And then the following day, the loaf of bread was 10,000 bolivar. And by the afternoon, it was 100,000 bolivar. That's called hyperinflation. So they're holding money that is literally, it's like holding a block of ice. It's melting in your hand. If you don't get rid of it straight away, you're going to lose your purchasing power. The third world nations, they adopt Bitcoin very quickly because they understand the opposite to what I've got is not only, they'd be happy with, hey, I'm just happy to hold my purchasing power. But what they're getting is, in fact, they're increasing their purchasing power. So they're like, you beauty. I've gone from losing through hyperinflation so quickly every day, every hour, to now it's the opposite. Not only do I get to hold my purchasing power, I get to increase it. Now we go over to the West, as in the first world nations. Why do they want something like this? Well, the saying that we have, as you know, Brandon, is that we come for the Lambo and we stay for the revolution. Yep. That is, the majority of people got into Bitcoin, let's face it, because they want to get rich. And I have no issue with that. That's the free market. Why do we work? We work for money. Why do we save? We save for our future. Why do we invest? Well, we think we invest to get rich, but what we're actually investing for in the West is to protect ourselves from inflation. Most people don't actually make that distinction. That's why property is so big, because you've got to get into property or something to protect yourself from inflation. So now what we're seeing is that in the West, in the first world nations, we are starting to feel inflation. We can see that in the supermarkets, things are becoming more expensive, way more expensive. Now, this would not be an issue if our wage was keeping up at the same time. Yep. Yeah, if your loaf of bread went up 10% and your wage went up 10%, who cares? But that is not happening. Wage is not keeping up with pricing. The price is going up. Therefore, now we're saying, well, hang on, I'm starting to feel it. I don't understand money. I don't really know where it comes from. I don't even know I have these questions. but I can feel things are becoming more expensive, and I can feel things are getting harder, and I can feel that I'm getting poorer. Yep. So now we have this trickle effect that it's not just a speculation. It's not just buy low, sell high. This is an absolute necessity.
Yeah.
Bitcoin doesn't need you. You need Bitcoin. We need Bitcoin. Because if you don't adopt a hard money, you will go broke. You will be Venezuela. You will be Argentina. You will fall through the floor as governments keep printing this worthless crap. So what is Bitcoin? Is it a technology? Yes. Is it a payment rail? Yes. Is it a store of value, medium of exchange, and unit of account? Yes, it's all of those things. But most importantly, it is at the antithesis, the solution to the cancer of fiat, the cancer that is destroying all of our lives, everyone, except for those right at the very top. And I'm not talking about the 1%ers. I'm talking about the 0.01%ers. They get to front run the market. They're the closest to the money printer. They get to purchase the capital assets when the money is fresh off the press, if you will. And then by the time the money trickles down to us mere mortals, it's lost all its purchasing power. And the capital assets, houses as an example, that were purchased right next to the money printer metaphorically, they are now even further out of reach for us.
Now, Adam, I can appreciate this because I can hear the passion in the man's voice. I think he needs a bit of time to calm down, a bit of a break. He's feeling it.
This is my life, man.
Got a lot of love for it.
Just set my life, man.
Edge Radio Australia.
Curious about cryptocurrency and want to learn more? Orange Brick Road offers expert crypto consulting and online courses to help you understand the exciting world of crypto. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced crypto user, Orange Brick Road can help you gain the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Take the first step towards mastering crypto with Orange Brick Road at orangebrickroad.com.au. Yesterday was the best day to learn crypto. Today is the second.
Of course, Brandon and the Crypto Hour of Power.
Nothing wrong with my bad jokes, mate. I laugh.
As long as you laugh, mate, someone's got to. We have a illustrious company on the phone here, of course. Adam Stokes, good to have you here, mate. I want to tell you something before we get... You are still there. I'll just better check. You still there, mate?
Yeah, still here. Enjoying the music.
Good stuff, mate. Just want to tell you this. Honestly, what you were talking about, from a personal front, right? What you were talking about before, that first segment, you just hit it, mate. You really, really hit it. As far as I'm concerned, there's so much going on that people don't understand, and the value of losing all their value in their money. They don't understand. They keep printing it. They don't understand how politically we're being controlled with the old petrodollar and all of this, and what a measurement of freedom crypto is.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it reminds me of Carl Jung that said, you know, it's easier to copy someone else's opinion than to think of your own. You know, so a lot of people, they're just going along with the narrative. They're just going,
they do.
You know, lack of time, lack of energy, the whole 9 yards. But before Aaron rudely interrupted us.
Rude, wasn't I?
What were you saying at the end there, Aaron? Sorry, Adam? Do you remember?
Well, I'll actually segue into this because what you just said there, I really want you to all think about this. Why aren't we taught about money at school?
Yeah.
Like really, we're taught how to get money, sort of, but we're not taught how to manage it. We're taught about many things, many social issues, maybe politically charged social issues. Mm-hmm. But if we all go to school for so long and we work our entire life for this thing, why aren't we taught about this thing? Because I guarantee, do the experiment in your own life. Go out there and just say to any random that's in your life and say, what's money? and you'll watch people trip over saying, well, what is money? And if you ask an accountant, they'll typically say, well, it's a store of value, medium of exchange, and a unit of account. But when you say, where does money come from? Yeah, that's where the discussion begins. Yep. So I give this to everyone. If you don't know what Bitcoin is, that's fine. Go back a step and say, well, do you actually know what money is? Because most people don't know what money is. And it's not because they're dumb. It's because they've been denied an education. Yeah. And there's a reason why they've been denied an education on it. Because if people understood that if you and I print money, we go to jail. Yeah. But if banks or governments print money, they get to steal our purchasing power. If people understood that, there would be an uprising overnight. Now, this is where Bitcoin's beautiful. Bitcoin isn't about violence or war. In fact, Bitcoin is a money of peace, whilst fiat is a money of war. So what's so powerful and beautiful about Bitcoin is that it gives a level playing field for everyone. but it does it without any uprising. No violence, no wars, no bombs, no bullets, nothing. It is the purest free market tool that we have out there. Now, you can choose to use it or choose not to use it. But if you choose not to use it, you'll get poorer. But if you choose to use it, you'll get richer. So the choice is yours. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and that kind of throws me into, the... When I first start getting people into crypto and Bitcoin and that sort of thing, it really is, taking the orange pill where, they start to learn about economics and, the Jekyll, the creature of Jekyll Island and the formation of the Federal Reserve and how a fiat currency actually works and, and inflation. So not only are they learning about the investment side of things, they're also learning about all the back end stuff, and the history of where we come through. And you'll find that like a lot of crypto people are very educated in this area. We actually know what we're talking about because we've spent bloody hundreds of hours talking about it. So what is in your opinion, Adam, what's the best way of going about educating yourself about the whole system?
Well, ironically, I wouldn't say go to university, and I say that because one of my degrees is in economics.
Yep.
And I say that not to say, look at me, yay, but look at me, how stupid I am. Because after getting formal qualifications in macroeconomics, it wasn't till I studied Bitcoin that I understood what the scam was. It wasn't till I understood money by getting into Bitcoin that I realized my degree had actually very little value beyond a piece of paper that I paid a centralized institution a lot of money for. So to answer your question, first step is, one, ask the question, what is money? Do your own thought experiments. Really question yourself. If money's not linked to gold, which it is not,
That's right.
and governments and banks can print money, then what does that mean? It means that every time you do real labor for real output, someone gets to print fake money. And when I say print it, they're not even physically printing it, they're digitally printing it. So anyone who goes, oh, we can't trust digital money, you're already using digital money. The only difference is that the digital money you're using at the moment is printed by centralized bodies, and the ledger, the notebook, the red book, the spreadsheet, if you will, is managed by a centralized body that can do whatever they want with those numbers. Bitcoin is the decentralized book. It's called a ledger, but think of an Excel spreadsheet or an accounting book. But instead of one entity holding it, everyone holds it. Everyone can get consensus, and we all agree, I had one Bitcoin, I then give it to Brandon. Now Brandon's got one Bitcoin. Whereas in banking, they hold the books, they control the books, but most importantly, they print the money. So once you understand that, then you go down the rabbit hole. And the rabbit hole is, of course, you get on YouTube, because the greatest minds in the world, they're not actually in university. They're all around us, all over the world, and all available to us on the internet. I studied at 5 different universities. I did a triple degree and a master's and countless other certificates. And I don't say that to say, yay, look at me. I say, I learned more from YouTube, legitimately. I learned way more from YouTube and the greatest minds in the world than nearly 10 years at university doing multiple degrees at 5 different universities. So please, get on YouTube, get on the podcast, get on Spotify. There are brilliant minds out there. And if you really want to start the journey, get one book. It is called The Bitcoin Standard.
Yep.
Now, even if you don't like Bitcoin, that's fine. The first half of the book just explains money. The second half of the book is the solution, which is Bitcoin. So start with what is money, get on YouTube and read or listen to an audiobook, The Bitcoin Standard.
Yep, 100%, mate. And I've just thought of something that actually keeps up with inflation, besides Bitcoin, is a politician's wage.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Index to grow.
They seem to be going all right with it. A good place to start would be, I know a guy called Adam that's got a podcast. What's that called, Adam?
So join me on just Adam Stokes on YouTube.
Yep.
And if you want to do anything crypto safe, here's the other thing. So the most important thing is don't get scammed.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are so many scammers out there because, and I would emphasize to everyone, Bitcoin is not a scam. Scammers are the scam.
Yeah.
Just as cars aren't criminal, but criminals can drive cars. And the internet and telephones aren't a scam, but they can be tools or vehicles to scam.
Yep.
So don't do anything on Facebook. Don't listen to the telemarketer that rings you up.
Yeah.
Start off at either the Orange Brick Road, which I've got no affiliation with, or come over to TheCrypto.Land, www.TheCrypto.Land.
Yep.
It's my site where you can do everything crypto safely on one simple and secure site. I've built it really to protect people. Anything on there, want to buy crypto, learn about crypto, get yourself a hardware wallet, get a paper wallet, look at the stats. It's all on one centralized site that goes out to other sites that I use, I trust, and I endorse.
Yeah, that's the main thing, man, is don't get click happy on the internet. And, you get a phone call from a lady that's, finds you very attractive. Generally as a rule, that's not going to be the case. It
happens to me all the time, Brendan.
Yeah.
Well, look, I look at it this way. I look at it this way. I believe, say, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln said, he said, don't believe everything you read on the internet. I think that's, that sums it up.
Absolutely. I think it's on his tombstone, isn't it? Yeah, straight up.
Dear.
All right. Well, let's flow into, make me some money, Adam. What coins should I be buying at the moment besides Bitcoin? Is there anything out there that's sort of tickling the fancy, bro?
This be education, of course, not financial advice.
That's right. There's a disclaimer.
Great financial advice. Look, the truth is that there's more than 2 million different cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Just as there's I think there's over 3 billion websites. So what are the top websites? Well, you could argue that the top digital companies are FANG: Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. Oh. But then in crypto, and that's the internet of information, in the internet of value, you've got millions of cryptocurrencies out there. But there's really only 2 that I'm looking at the moment.
Ooh.
Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's it. Now, that's not to say I don't play with the other coins, but if you're new in this space, if you don't know what you're doing, it's like me taking you off the street and you've never driven a 450 kilowatt race car.
Yeah.
If you've never driven that car before, you're going to wrap yourself around a tree.
Yep.
But if you've been driving for many years and you've had proper training, and in reality you've had car accidents and you know the laws of physics and the reality of power, you're more comfortable getting into those cars. So if you're starting, I say this to everyone, just put 10 cents into Bitcoin. It doesn't even have to be 1,000. Just put 10 cents into Bitcoin, then you can feel it. You say, well, I want to put more in. Fine, put $1 in. But please, don't fall for this narrative, this is a better Bitcoin or this is a better Ethereum. They all fail, all of them, all the time. And so many people get wrecked. Now, again, once you've been in the space for a while and you know what you're doing and you've got an appetite for risk and you accept that all investments come with big risk and anything can go to zero, then you can start playing in the other markets, in the altcoins, in the meme coins. But for now, noting the audience, I only give 2, Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's it.
Well, that is full on.
He holds back a lot. I've noticed that.
Just 2. He reckons 2. No, I totally agree with that, especially with people they first get in. There's this shiny, object syndrome, where they hear about the latest thing and they just jump on that and they put money into this and they put money into that. There are a bunch of coins out that I do like, but I would say the majority of my portfolio would be in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
There you go.
But also like Sui, I love AVAX, Avalanche. Pretty bullish on Cardano. I think Cardano and Solana. I've got my eye on them. There's also I don't know if you've heard of this, and I probably should have prepped you for this. Have you heard of TON? TON, not Tron, TON. That's been done with
Telegram.
Telegram. That's correct. What are you thinking about that one? Because I'm finding that very intriguing. Because they've already got a network, It's already established.
All of those other coins that you mentioned, I hold and I like, absolutely. And I've got no objection to any of those coins. But again, we're talking to newbies here.
Yep.
So Toncoin, if you think of Telegram being the messaging system, what Telegram is trying to do is they're trying to make a coin similar to what WeChat is. If you know what WeChat is in China, we'll have to use WeChat as an example.
Yep.
So WeChat is a system in China that's very successful, that it's the everything application. It is Uber, it is messaging, it is PayPal, it is Tap and Go, it is Tinder, it is video reviews, it is it's everything. It is everything in the one application.
Okay.
Now, Ton or Telegram has a vision of doing something similar. But guess what? So does Elon Musk with X.com.
Correct.
And so do many other companies. So I've got some Toncoin, and it's performed very well. But again, it's one of those 2 million coins out there that the narrative might be good. And these markets are completely irrational. Where people get lost in this is they say, Bitcoin won't work because my coin's more technologically advanced. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like saying plastic is more technologically advanced than steel. Yep. Steel is slow and boring and heavy, and so is concrete. What's the technology behind concrete? Well, sure, there's some interesting stuff in the background, but ultimately it's a rock. And what's steel? Well, it's a piece of metal. And so, well, what am I going to do with that? Well, let's look at civilization. We can build everything with the predictable, slow, heavy, boring steel and concrete. And then what do you build on top of that? Well, whatever you want. So please don't fall for a narrative of, my coin's technologically superior, therefore it will win. I've been in this space long enough to see that narrative play out over and over and over again, and they all go to zero. It's not because it's not true that they're technologically more superior than Bitcoin. It's just that what we need in the world is we need a solid layer one. What's a layer one? We need a good block of land. Do you want a block of land on a sliding cliff, or it's going to be washed out to sea? No. You need a good bedrock, predictable, reliable, and then what are you going to build on top of that? Anything you want. You want a house, you want a shed, you want a 40-foot skyscraper, it's your choice. The layer one is everything, and that's what Bitcoin is. It is the layer one that we can rely on. Yeah, no, I'm hearing you, mate. You're looking at me like that for Aaron.
Oh, look, mate, you're just such a good-looking fella. That's what it is. I was distracted.
All the bloody time.
It also could be that official, we need to go and have a break. That's what we need to do. Quick
have
break.
A break from staring at me.
That's right. Back really soon. But listen.
I just want to make an announcement right off the bat.
Make an announcement, yeah.
All right. Aaron had one job, to put on the song that I wanted, and he put on the acoustic version.
Damn, mate, I did it as a special treat for you. Can you believe that?
It's not a treat, though. No. I like the other version, man. Unreal.
Oh, the things I do for you, just so unappreciated.
It's bloody train wreck, mate. Bloody train wreck. Anyway, how you going, Adam? You still there, mate?
Yeah, doing great.
Fantastic, mate. Let's run this home.
Didn't fall asleep in that last song at all. Anyways.
You cut me off from it. I couldn't even hear it. You put me in the blank land.
Oh, what are you doing, man?
Well, I didn't, but okay, somehow that goes.
All right, it's 3 things he's done wrong.
Been a big day for me.
It's about on par.
I'm consistent, right?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. All right. I did want to finish off sort of talking about, I mean, remember when we started back in the days, 2016, 17, we're talking about like banks are going to adopt it, countries, you know, and all the financial institutions and have all these, ETFs and all that sort of stuff. It was a pipe dream back then. Now it's come to fruition. Where do you stand on it, Adam?
Yeah, so the ETFs are just a stepping stone or probably a milestone in the progression of what is absolutely certain. So there's a divided camp here. The hardcore Bitcoiners will say, well, no, it was only for us. And I say, no, Bitcoin is for everyone. As soon as you get to pick and choose who uses your money, it's no longer money. Because remember, the essence of money is that it must be neutral. Yeah. And if we start putting rules and saying, well, no, only these people can buy it, but you can't, it's no longer money. It's no longer free. It's no longer open and borderless. When it comes to ETFs, we have to accept the diversity of the market. Now, when I talk about diversity, I don't talk about fake diversity of colour and gender. I talk about true diversity. Yep. True diversity is diversity of thought, expression, opinion, desire. That's what real diversity is. So some people don't want to buy and hold their own Bitcoin, and we have to respect that. Now, even though that goes against the ethos of what Bitcoin is, we have to respect the free market. And many people in the free market want to invest in centralized bodies who do it on their behalf. Yep. Now, this doesn't change the rules of Bitcoin. Some people say, well, hang on, now that the big boys are in it, it's broken and it's no longer what it used to be. No, nothing changes with Bitcoin. It still operates on the SHA-256 algorithm. There's still a block reward every 10 minutes. There's still a set supply of 21 million. It's still a fact that no one else can print it. It's just that now we have more institutional money in it. Bitcoin's market cap at time of recording is over $2 trillion US. Now, we achieved more than $1 trillion in market cap with just the retail investors. Retail investors just being the you, the me, the mum, the dad. Yep. Now the retail investors are here and we're over $2 trillion. But what's interesting this cycle is now that the retail investors are sitting on the sideline, we still haven't had the big flood of money coming in this cycle. So we're only just warming up, boys. We're only just warming up. And we're going to see Bitcoin easily go to $1 million in our lifetime. Not because I say it, but because it's the laws of the universe. It's the laws of mathematics. It's the laws of supply and demand. The demand is ramping up. And even if you don't want to accept those laws, what the reality is, so long as they keep printing fiat, which they keep doing, everything that is scarce and hard goes up and to the right. What are we talking about? Scarce being Bitcoin and gold, hard assets, things that are difficult to obtain, property as an example. So as long as they keep printing money, those assets keep going up and to the right, and Bitcoin's part of that. This is why Bitcoin's going to $1 million easily, because the demand is getting greater, the supply is set, the dollar is breaking, the institutions are here, the retail investors are here, the nation states are here, the corporations are here, everyone's coming in. Strap in, boys, we're going to the moon.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I mean, if you're a big sort of investment institution or a bank or something like that, holding, $1 billion worth of Bitcoin on your hardware wallet's probably not what the investors want to hear, because they're probably a bit worried that you might lose your keys or do something silly. So, yeah, they are piling in for them reasons. But I also think they're piling in because it's irresponsible for them not to be, to do investments on behalf of other people or give them financial instruments in order to invest in. That's where I see it, is these institutes, it's actually irresponsible for them to not have Bitcoin on their balance sheet.
Absolutely. At the individual or the corporate level, it is financially irresponsible to not have some exposure to Bitcoin. And the truth is, what markets are actually seeing now is that they can get we'll use Metaplanet as an example. So Metaplanet is a company in Japan that does gaming.
Okay.
And they do very well at gaming. And they're the industry leader, one of the industry leaders in Japan. And they discovered, not through rumor, but from reality, that they can get a better return by taking their holdings and putting it into Bitcoin and doing absolutely nothing. And many corporations and people are figuring out, hang on a second, I could do all of this stuff in a business, running a shop. I could do all of this complicated investing. I could try and yield farm across the world, or I could simply buy and hold Bitcoin. Yeah. And Bitcoin outperforms all of it. It outperforms gold. It outperforms the property market. It outperforms the S&P 500. I don't care what your industry is. Bitcoin, not because I say it, but because I've got the data to prove it and the numbers there, is outperforming all of it. So as people realize, hang on a second, I can just hold this asset and it goes up and to the right. And it's like, yeah, it's like, no, it's too good to be true. It's like, no. This is the rules of thermodynamics and economics and supply and demand and scarcity and fiat. It all comes together. And it's like, this isn't just some pipe dream. It is the reality of nature. It is the reality of so many people looking to store their energy, their time, their value, their effort. You can't store it in the dollar because it goes down. You can't store it in property because they keep making more and they keep taxing it and they keep putting expenses on it and they're going to have unrealized gains on it, which is another form of tax. So Where do you put your money? And you look at these other altcoins and it's like, well, these other altcoins have different purposes. They don't not have value. They just don't have the same value or purpose as Bitcoin.
Right.
Everyone that gets into Bitcoin says the same thing. They all say this, I should have gotten in earlier. And then the second part of this, and I can hear all the viewers asking already, or the listeners, well, am I too late? It's like, well, are you too late to buy a house? Are you too late to get a block of gold? Are you too late to go to the gym? Are you too late to start being financially responsible with your money? Not at all. The time is now. Get into it. And even if you save it for a year, I guarantee you'll say the same thing that everyone else says. I should have got into it.
More.
That's right.
Yep. Should have got more and should have done it earlier. All right, I'm getting. Are we tying things up?
We are, mate. Yeah, we've got about a minute. We can tie up.
He's staring at me weird again.
Look,
freak.
It wouldn't be the first time you only had 30 seconds. You go, mate.
I can achieve a lot. 30 seconds, mate.
Oh dear.
You got that problem too, do you, Brendan?
Yes, I do, mate. Yes, I do. All right, so yeah, all the links will be in the description when we put this out on the podcast. It's orangebrickroad.com.au is the website. We'll have all the links in there. It'll go out on the TikTok and the Insta and the YouTubes and the Facebooks and stuff like that.
All of those things. Thank you very much, Adam, for absolutely fantastic time. Really appreciate it.
Curious about cryptocurrency and want to learn more? Orange Brick Road offers expert crypto consulting and online courses to help you understand the exciting world of crypto. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced crypto user, Orange Brick Road can help you gain the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Take the first step towards mastering crypto with Orange Brick Road at orangebrickroad.com.au. Yesterday was the best day to learn crypto. Today is the second.